Hey everyone, this is Quad Culture and you're watching The Square. If you're an NFL fan and you've been living under a rock, you might not know that we are in the middle of a Sam Darnold renaissance. Yes, Sam Darnold, that same quarterback that was kicked around from the Jets to the Panthers to the 49ers and all the way to the Vikings, is in the middle of having his best season. And a lot of people are really surprised about it. And I can count myself among those people that are surprised about it. But it's interesting to think about how Sam Darnold's career might represent how we need to look differently at the quarterback position. You see, Sam Darnold comes from a long line of different levels of success of USC quarterbacks in the 2000s. You look at a guy like Carson Palmer, went to the Bengals, turned them around, I think in a lot of ways, can be deemed a very successful first-round pick. Matt Leinart, not so much. Injuries kind of derailed his career. And then you look at a guy like Mark Sanchez, who took his team to 2 AFC championship games, but is more remembered in New York for the butt fumble. And so you look at these varying successes of USC quarterbacks. So when Sam Darnold was taken number 3 overall to a Jets team that hadn't really been successful in a while, they're expecting him to save the franchise. Yet Sam Darnold was a younger quarterback coming out. He was a quarterback that was turnover prone, that was a little bit of a gunslinger, that probably needed some time to sit back and learn. Yet Sam Darnold really wasn't given as much of that opportunity because the Jets needed him to come in instantly and save the franchise. And so you get a lot of these moments where Sam Darnold is overwhelmed to the point of where he says he's seeing ghosts against the New England Patriots after he throws 4 interceptions in I believe an October game. And then at that point, I think Jets fans started to give up on Sam Darnold. He shipped off to Carolina, where in the recent years we've seen no quarterback really succeed, whether it's been, Teddy Bridgewater all the way up to Bryce Young and even a little bit of Baker Mayfield in there. And none of these quarterbacks have succeeded there. And so I don't know if we thought Sam Darnold was going to, but he didn't. And then Sam Darnold gets this opportunity, maybe a sort of respite, to go to the 49ers and take a second, be on a Super Bowl winning team, be the backup. And I think that's what a lot of people thought the reality of Sam Darnold's career was going to be. And then something happens. Sam Darnold gets this opportunity with the Minnesota Vikings, and then they draft J.J. McCarthy. So he kind of becomes this placeholder, right? This guy who's going to start a few games before J.J. McCarthy comes in and starts playing. But then J.J. McCarthy gets a season-ending injury. So Sam Darnold's unquestionably the guy for this season. And there's not a lot of pressure on this team. There's a good offensive scheme with this team, good offensive players. But the most important thing is Sam Darnold is not being told that he needs to save this franchise. Minnesota is a relatively stable franchise that, yes, has never won a Super Bowl, but they are a pretty consistent contender. And so in a lot of ways, Sam Darnold gets this opportunity to just go out and play football. And right now they're 5-0. He's one of the front runners for the MVP. And we're seeing Sam Darnold play really tremendous football. We're seeing him really turn a corner, really play well in this Kevin O'Connell offense. And it makes you think about, with guys like Geno Smith and with guys like Baker Mayfield, we're seeing these guys who have maybe been discarded, and even a guy like Alex Smith, when Jim Harbaugh came to the 49ers, we're seeing these guys that were previously discarded because they were in these bad situations begin to succeed in these situations where people like them, where there's not a lot of pressure, and where they have other players around them. And I think this is this idea that we push these quarterbacks who maybe aren't ready into these situations where they have to carry a franchise, and they just can't. That doesn't mean they're a bad quarterback. It just means that they can't. And there's obviously guys like Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf who probably would have, not succeeded regardless of their situation. And even looking at guys like Peyton and Eli Manning, these guys probably would have succeeded no matter where they went. I'm not saying that these types of situations don't exist. What I'm saying is that there are these guys in the middle, right? These guys who maybe aren't your type that are going to be, your franchise savers, your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allens, your Lamar Jacksons, but they are your guys that can win you a lot of games and maybe even win you a Super Bowl. And we are not giving these guys second chances because we see that they fail in their first chances, and the expectation is all wrong. We expect these dudes to be great right out of the gate, and the reality is quarterbacks need time to develop. They need time to be patient. And it makes you think about guys like Trevor Lawrence, who has struggled in Jacksonville, Justin Fields, who's getting to go to the Steelers right now and is having some success, and even a guy as recently as Bryce Young, who is struggling in what I think is a really crappy no-win situation. And it makes you think, how can we give these guys new opportunities, and how can these guys succeed? And I think in a lot of ways, you have all these different coaches and GMs and players who are fighting for their job, and they're not as concerned about the future of the franchise and being patient with these quarterbacks, not hurting these quarterbacks' confidence, and giving them a chance to succeed. And in a lot of ways, it's, oh, if you weren't good your first 2 years, we're going to kick you to the curb, and then, hopefully somebody else picks you up. But in a lot of ways, what we're seeing with Sam Darnold is that these quarterbacks deserve patience. These quarterbacks deserve to be drafted into good situations, because if you give them those opportunities, they might succeed, and they might really, really succeed. And so the Sam Darnold renaissance has been really cool to watch, because not only does it represent the comeback for a player who has been through so much. Sam Darnold has been through so much. He has taken so much ridicule. But it's also a player that we're seeing in real time show why quarterbacks deserve more patience, why quarterbacks need more time to develop, because if we're patient with these quarterbacks, they might have more of a chance of succeeding. And I think that's really the takeaway that I take away from Sam Darnold. Do I think he's the future of the Minnesota Vikings? No. Do I think he could play well after this for another team? Yeah, I definitely think so, because I think if you put guys like Sam Darnold, guys like Baker Mayfield, guys like Geno Smith in the right situation, they're going to play well, and they're going to bring an X factor to the offense. They're not just going to be some game manager guy. But you have to put them in the right situation, and you have to give them good offensive coordinators, good coaches, good receivers. That doesn't mean you have to give them the best of the best, but you just have to give them solid stuff so they're not running for their life or trying to throw into tight windows where nobody's really open. And I think I'm really interested to see what Sam Darnold means to the quarterback position, and kind of if Sam Darnold becomes this point of study where it's like, how did we miss? How did he fail in New York but is succeeding in Minnesota? And so I think in a lot of ways, this represents a really exciting turn for the quarterback position. Let me know your thoughts on Sam Darnold and the quarterback position and how it's sort of developed in the NFL in the comments. And thank you so much for tuning in to The Square. Have a great day.